Vin Diesel, born Mark Sinclair on July 18, 1967, in Alameda County, California, entered the world with an unanswered question that would quietly shape his sense of self for decades. His birth certificate listed no father, and his mother, Dolores Sinclair, chose not to reveal his identity, leaving Vin to grow up with mystery as part of his foundation. Rather than resentment, this absence nurtured curiosity and self-reliance. Raised by Dolores, an astrologer with deep appreciation for culture and creativity, Vin learned early that identity could be self-defined rather than inherited. This uncertainty did not weaken him. Instead, it fostered independence, introspection, and an openness to possibility that would later become central to both his life and career. Growing up in an artist's world, Vin and his twin brother Paul Vincent were raised in New York City's West Beth Artists Housing, a former industrial complex transformed into a haven for creative minds in Greenwich Village. This was not a conventional upbringing filled with routine or predictability, but one immersed in imagination, art, and expression. Painters, musicians, writers, and performers surrounded him daily, creating an environment where creativity felt normal and encouraged. His stepfather, Irving Vincent, a respected theater director, played a crucial role during these years by introducing Vin to stage performance and storytelling. Through Irving's guidance, Vin discovered discipline within creativity, learning that art was not only inspiration, but also commitment, structure, and purpose. An unexpected first step into acting. Vin Diesel's introduction to acting happened by chance at the age of 7, when he and a group of friends entered a local theater after hours with mischievous intentions. Instead of punishment, the theater director offered them scripts and invited them to participate in rehearsals. Vin accepted, and that small moment changed everything. Performing in the children's play Dinosaur Door, he discovered a sense of belonging and confidence he had never known before. Acting gave him a voice, a space where emotion, imagination, and discipline met. What began as an accident became a calling, and from that point on, performance was no longer just something he tried. It became part of who he was. Adolescence, work, and self-discipline. As Vin entered his teenage years, life demanded responsibility early. He worked physically demanding jobs to support himself, learning resilience through effort rather than comfort. During this time, he began working as a nightclub bouncer in Manhattan, a role that required awareness, restraint, and emotional control more than brute force. These years were formative, teaching him how to remain calm under pressure and how to read people, skills that later translated into powerful screen presence. Alongside work, Vin committed himself to physical training, using whatever resources were available, gradually building the strong physique that would become part of his public image. More importantly, these years reinforced his discipline, patience, and belief that progress came from consistency rather than shortcuts. Education and the love of storytelling. In 1987, Vin enrolled at Hunter College to study English literature, driven by a desire to deepen his understanding of stories and language. While balancing work and academics proved challenging, literature expanded his creative lens, helping him understand character, theme, and narrative structure. Although he left college just short of graduating, the education stayed with him. He wasn't walking away from learning, he was redirecting it. Inspired by independent filmmakers who created opportunities without permission, Vin chose to pursue storytelling on his own terms, trusting his instincts even when the path ahead was uncertain. Early Hollywood rejection and identity struggles. Vin's early years in Hollywood were defined by rejection rather than recognition. Casting directors struggled to categorize him, often unsure where he fit within narrow industry expectations. Instead of allowing frustration to define him, Vin turned inward, deciding to tell his own story rather than wait for approval. These years tested his confidence, but they also clarified his purpose. He realized that his ambiguity was not a limitation, but a strength, and that authenticity mattered more than fitting into predefined roles. This period of invisibility strengthened his resolve and sharpened his creative vision. Creating opportunity through multifacial. Refusing to be sidelined, Vin wrote, directed, produced, and starred in the short film Multifacial in 1994. The project explored the emotional reality of an actor navigating identity and rejection, mirroring his own experiences. Made on a modest budget and filmed over just a few days, the project was deeply personal. Though initially overlooked, the film eventually gained attention at festivals and resonated with audiences who recognized its honesty. Multifacial wasn't just a short film, it was a declaration that Vin Diesel was no longer waiting to be chosen. He was choosing himself. Recognition and the Spielberg breakthrough. The turning point in Vin Diesel's career came when Multifacial reached filmmaker Steven Spielberg, who recognized its emotional depth and originality. Impressed by Vin's presence and creativity, Spielberg cast him in Saving Private Ryan. Though his role was brief, Vin delivered a performance that was heartfelt and memorable, showing vulnerability alongside strength. That moment shifted how the industry viewed him, proving that he was more than a physical presence. He was an actor with emotional range and creative insight. This opportunity opened doors that had once seemed permanently closed. Rise to global stardom. Following his breakthrough, Vin Diesel steadily built momentum with roles that highlighted both intensity and nuance. His performance in Pitch Black demonstrated his ability to lead a film, but it was the Fast and the Furious that transformed him into a global icon. As Dominic Toretto, Vin embodied loyalty, restraint, and quiet authority. The film's success surprised the industry and audiences alike, resonating through its themes of family and belonging. Vin's portrayal felt genuine because it reflected values he lived by: loyalty, respect, and chosen family, rather than exaggerated heroism. Creative control and building a legacy. Rather than focusing solely on fame or short-term success, Vin Diesel made strategic decisions to protect creative integrity. By becoming a producer and negotiating ownership stakes, he ensured long-term influence over his work. Through his production companies, he shaped stories that aligned with his values and expanded the emotional scope of action cinema. This approach allowed him to build a lasting legacy, transforming a single film into a multi-generational franchise while maintaining creative consistency and personal meaning, brotherhood, loss, and loyalty. One of the most defining relationships in Vin Diesel's life was his friendship with Paul Walker. Their bond extended beyond the screen, rooted in mutual respect and shared values. Walker's passing in 2013 deeply affected Vin, reshaping his understanding of grief and responsibility. Honoring that friendship became part of his life's purpose, both privately and through his work. The franchise continued not as a replacement, but as a tribute, reinforcing themes of family and remembrance that resonated with audiences worldwide: private life, fatherhood, and balance. Despite global fame, Vin Diesel has remained fiercely protective of his personal life. Fatherhood became a grounding force, and he has consistently prioritized presence over publicity. By setting boundaries and maintaining privacy, he preserved a sense of normalcy for his children and himself. This balance reflects maturity gained through experience, an understanding that success means little without meaningful relationships and inner peace. Beyond the action hero. Beyond the screen, Vin Diesel is a lifelong lover of fantasy, storytelling, and imagination. His enthusiasm for games like Dungeons and Dragons reveals a thoughtful, creative side, often unseen by the public. These interests reflect a man who values connection, creativity, and inner worlds as much as physical achievement. They remind audiences that strength and imagination are not opposites, but partners. Legacy of purpose and humanity. Vin Diesel's journey is not simply one of fame, but of intention. From a childhood shaped by mystery to a career built on perseverance and loyalty, he represents resilience grounded in humanity. His legacy extends beyond box office numbers into the lives he's touched, the stories he's shaped, and the values he's upheld. In a world driven by spectacle, Vin Diesel stands as proof that authenticity, heart, and purpose endure far longer than speed or spotlight.